Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto content. As you guys already know, I'm back in the OG lab. It feels great. And today we are going to be talking about some important news, right? Because a lot of people right now are spreading some false narratives around on Twitter, on YouTube. The bull market's ending, we're in a bear market, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, tired of hearing it, tired of seeing it. First off, this idea of we're in a bear market or a bull market, it should not concern anyone. And the reason why I say that is if you haven't overstretched your financial decisions. So, say for so I have, a residual income of, I don't know, $100,000 a year. Am I going to invest $80,000? Absolutely not. You don't overinvest because that's when you get impatient, you start selling at a loss, your emotions get the best of you. Never overstretch your boundaries with financial decisions. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, of course, but I'm just saying be careful with how much you put in and only invest as much as you could possibly, feel the need to lose and be safe losing and be content with it. Now, I'm just going to be talking about why do you think that we are on the brink of a massive breakout, not only for XRP, but for the entire crypto market. And yes, that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, pretty much all of your favorite assets, ADA, stuff like that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So as you guys know, we have been ranging on Bitcoin. We have been stuck in this slow and steady kind of sideways path for what seems like forever, right? A lot of people are getting impatient. When is this going to end? Are we ever going to see relief? I don't think that we're ever going to see relief. I think we're in a 3-year bear market, whatever the case may be. A lot of people are getting tired of it. Trust me, I understand. Listen, when you're seeing something like this graph play out, where let's see, 3-month, right? So on a 3-month pattern, look at how just boring this looks. It was a steady decline from back in May, right? We haven't really had much, price action going on with Bitcoin at all. It's just been kind of like an up and down zigzag all the way to where we are currently on that 32K. Now, it sucks. Trust me, I get it. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. We want to be, we want to get our cash. We want to profit. We want to take profits. We want to reinvest on the low. I get it. Trust me. You can't rush finance. Let it play out. It's doing its thing. It's going to play out perfectly. And I'm going to be talking to you guys about this here soon. So, when we talk about this massive breakout, a lot of people are probably saying right now, oh, this is just clickbait garbage, whatever. I'm disliking this video. I'm leaving. It's totally fine. If you guys don't, believe that this isn't clickbait, whatever, then you probably shouldn't be here. But I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about something called inflation. We have been talking about inflation for quite some time. I talked about the liquidity crisis that we could possibly be seeing where electronics skyrocket in price. Pretty much everything skyrockets, right? Food, used cars in general, houses, start crashing, stuff like that. I think that right now, if we come over here to the indices, so let's go to the indices, and let's let this load. So when we talk about this, right, I've been talking about the Dow Jones being at a massively inflated level forever now. We hit 35,000 on the Dow Jones. Now, I personally know, and I know a lot of people should probably know by now, that the Dow Jones should never be this high with the current spending in the government, right? We are spending massive amounts of money. We are giving money away to people who have children. Isn't that kind of funny? You get paid to just have kids now. That is where we see problems arise. And I'm not taking anything away. Listen, if we want to help the poverty, go ahead, do it. Throw money to the wind, if you will. What I'm talking about is the idea of when we look at government spending, we have spent trillions of dollars this year alone, and things are just not looking good. Even if we come over here to the U.S. debt, pretty much clock, because you can pretty much see this, we are almost at $30 trillion in debt with no signs of slowing down at all. We technically don't have the capital to really kind of alleviate this debt either. And I honestly don't even think that we care about this debt. Now, I wouldn't mind debt at all. Debt does not matter to me. What does matter to me is inflation, because we are never getting out of this debt market that we're in. But what we will never, or I should say, what should be concerning to any U.S. citizen or anybody who is, working a 9 to 5 or just a regular career, whatever, they should be worried about inflation. Now, a lot of people have been talking about inflation for quite some time in this market, and we're going to talk about why inflation is good for crypto, but not good for everything else. So here is the inflation chart. Now, if we actually look here, right, we could see, let me close that. We could see that in July 2020, we were at a little bit at about 1% overall for inflation. We do see that in October of 2020, we're about at 1.2. And here is where the presidential flip came. This is where Biden became president. I'm not getting into politics or anything like that. I honestly don't care about politics. I don't care who's the president or anything like that. But we do know that Democratic spending is always astronomically high. We could actually even go back to a 10-year here. Let me go back to actually 25 years. So here is about at that 2008. This is pretty much spending of the Democratic Party. This is pretty much Obama era. Now it did collapse. This inflation did collapse here. I just want to say right now, when we look at the 1 year, this 5.4%, Jerome Powell, who is the chairman of the Fed, already said that inflation rates right now are massively, I would say, underwhelmed, right? And when we look at this, it's the idea that they are pretty much doing this idea of, let's put 5.4% for an example, but leave out a few things that will pretty much affect the inflation rates. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if our inflation rates were astronomically higher than this at like 10+%. Now, if we look at the max here, we do know that even back in the 1940s and stuff, even going back to around like the 1950s, we were at about 23% overall, as we do see the highest down here is about 23.7%. We are at now, at this 5% level, pretty much the levels where we were at back in like around the middle of 2000, like 2005 overall. This is also the level at which we were in the early 90s, almost into the late 90s, if you will. This is pretty much where used car prices were pretty much skyrocketing, stuff like that. Now, the reason why this is important, right? You might be wondering, why are we even talking about inflation rates? Why does inflation rates even matter? Whatever. Well, good question, right? When we talk about inflation rates, we also talk about the US dollar. As inflation rates rise, the US dollar actually drops in value and in strength. And you might be wondering again, why does that even matter for crypto? Well, if the US dollar or the DXY is dropping in the strength or the overall value, right? That means that it is very good for, guess what? Crypto. And the correlation here is even during something like the March of 2020 crash, right? If we go back here to the 3-year, so when we go back to the March of 2020, so let me go back to March of 2020, we could see that it was at actually a strong level, right? We were actually at $1.02. It was like 102 overall. Now this is pretty much a percentage. This is pretty much where the dollar is worth $1.02 overall. This is March 15th. Now crypto crashed at this level as well as the stock market. But you know what ended up happening? As we declined, everything rose in price. We could actually come here to Bitcoin and look at where Bitcoin's high personally was. Let me actually just go to the Bitcoin USD chart on Binance and kind of show you this for a correlation here. Sorry, let me get rid of all this. Now, when we look here, right, we hit a high on April 12th overall. That was when we hit 65K, April 12th. Remember that date. So when we look here on April 12th, we were ranging fairly low. I know that this is April 11th. I can't get the specific date, but as you guys could see, we were falling. We actually fell a whole 2%, which I know you might be wondering, 2%, that's nothing. it is something when we're talking about the US dollar. This is, actual money that we're talking about, where, and I know that Bitcoin's actual money, but what I'm saying is, this is a whole 2 cents of value that we're losing out on the entire US dollar. So when we talk about inflation, right? Inflation's very good for the dollar to drop in value. What the US inflation rate is not good for, and we could actually see here, is everything. We do see, cars and truck prices, used cars and trucks, gasoline, fuel, oil, utility gas service, and transportational services. Shelter costs were up 2.6% and food 2.4%. This is where we talk about, yeah, sure, a lot of people who are in crypto are going to bask in the glory of, pretty much profits. The problem is that everything is going to be increasing in prices. We already kind of see it, right? And I'm not going to be a tinfoil hat wearer or anything like that, but we do see a lot of prices rising on a lot of things because of shortages. I know that locally right now, if I go to, say for so, a lot of people probably know about Rita's, right? Rita's Italian Ice. I actually went during the summer to get some Italian ice, whatnot, and they only had 2 flavors, right? They had shortages. They were blaming it on COVID. Everybody's trying to blame it on COVID, but you know what it actually is? It's inflation rates. A lot of the supplies are way too high to accommodate to buy those supplies and sell at what the prices are supposed to be getting sold at. So what's ending up happening is we're seeing a mass shortage because if they were to buy it, they would have to astronomically increase their prices, which is going to happen very soon. So, realistically speaking, inflation's very good for the dollar dropping in price, very good for Bitcoin ranging higher. Now, when we talk about inflation rates, as we continue to spend, which I do see that we are going to continue spending, I do think by around the around Christmas time, so around November into December, that is where inflation rates are going to astronomically increase. That is where the dollar is going to astronomically decrease, and that is where we will see a massive breakout in stocks and crypto, as when individuals see inflation rates rising on fiat currencies, they most likely will shift money into digital assets like stocks and crypto. It's just the way that the pattern plays out. It happens every single time, but you know what it is? It's the idea that, listen, if I have $5,000 in the bank and a 5%, inflation rate comes, that's astronomically high when we do see about $5 on every, I think it's like $100, right? So realistically speaking, when we look at that, that's $5 on every single $100. And when you have a lot of money in the bank and you see that money kind of flow out, that's alarming. So they most likely will hold their most of their money from their bank in digital assets like crypto and stocks until inflation rates have obviously kind of died down. But who knows when that's going to be? We already heard from the Fed that they do not have any idea to accommodate for interest rates increases or anything like that. So we could see inflation overall rising to these highs of 15+%, where things do get a little rough out there. I'm just telling you guys this. I'm not trying to be a doomsday prepper or anything like that. It's just a warning, but I do think that this is good for crypto nonetheless. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. If you guys do want more free content, you guys can follow me on Twitter at NCashOfficial. You guys can also join the free Discord down in the description below. Nonetheless, this has been Nick. Peace out.